Hello everyone, my name is Aymen Mohammed. Today I'm going to discuss adjective clause. What is an adjective clause? Adjective clause is a subordinate or dependent clause that starts with either relative pronoun or relative adverb. Let's go talk about this. As I said, it's a subordinate clause, functions as an adjective that modifies or describes a noun. So we have different types of noun that come as subjects, objects, or objects of proposition. Back again to talk about adjective clause that starts with relative pronoun. It begins with the relative pronoun, which is one of these, and the relative pronouns are who, whom, whose, which, and that. And the pattern for using this or these relative pronouns, we usually use the relative pronoun as a subject, then we have a verb. And sometimes we have relative pronoun, subject, then verb. On the other hand, when we use the relative adverbs are where, when, and why. And the pattern for this, it starts with relative adverb, subject, then verb. So we have a clause, dependent clause, that starts with one of these, either relative pronoun or relative adverb, and then we have subject and verb, or in the case of relative pronoun, we have verb only, because the relative pronoun is going to take the position of the subject. And we need to keep in mind, as a subordinate clause or dependent clause, that they cannot stand alone. So in this case, we need independent clause in order to get a meaningful sentence or full meaning or complete thought. An adjective clause takes two sentences that have the same noun. They must have the same noun, and making them into one sentence. If we want to use an adjective clause to make two sentences combining to complete one thought or one idea and make them one sentence, we use one of what I mentioned, either relative pronoun or relative adverb, and then we combine them as independent then dependent clause. So the dependent clause is going to be one of the relative pronouns or one of the clauses that starts with relative pronoun or relative adverb, and the other clause, which is the independent clause, which is going to be subject, verb, and sentence complement if we have. For example, here, the book has just been published. He wrote the book. So we have two different sentences, but we have the same noun. If we would like to combine them and make them one meaningful sentence, we can do this because we have the same noun here. So we can say, the book that he wrote has just been published. So here we have a clause, dependent clause, that starts with relative pronoun, which is that, and we have the noun here, which comes before the adjective clause, and usually it comes immediately before the adjective clause. So here, this adjective clause modifies or describes this book, and here we have the independent clause, the book has just been published. For example, I gave like 4 examples, 2 that starts with relative pronouns and 2 that starts with relative adverb. So here we have who were called first. Who is the subject in this case, and where is the verb? Whom I admire, whom is relative pronoun, then I is the subject, then admire is the verb. Where Barbara was born, where is the relative adverb, Barbara is subject, was verb. When there was no television, when relative adverb, there the subject, was is the verb. So here, when we look at these sentences, we don't have any meaning. We don't get any thought or idea. Who were called first? I don't get anything from this. Whom I admire? I don't understand the meaning of the sentence. There is something missing. The idea is not completed. The thought is not fully completed. So here we need independent clause combining the both clauses that can make one meaningful sentence. Let's go to the next slide and see the meaningful sentence. For example, the first one, who were called first, when we insert it with the independent clause, the kids who were called first will have the best chance of getting a seat. Here we have meaningful sentence. We have complete idea, complete thought, because we are talking about the kids. So we are, or this adjective clause modifying or describing the noun kids and saying the kids who were called first will have the best chance of getting a seat. So we understand what is going on here. And as I mentioned, this adjective clause, who were called first, modifies or describes the noun kids. Here we have whom. Whom is related always to the object. So here we have an object missing if we want to separate this as a sentence. Charles Dickens, which is the noun, whom I admire, wrote Oliver Twist. So when we have a separate subject, separate sentence, I say I admire him. So I admire Charles Dickens. And the independent clause is Charles Dickens wrote Oliver Twist. And here, as before, this is dependent clause because it starts with relative pronoun or relative adverb. Columbus, Ohio is the town where Barbara was born. So here I understand where Barbara was born. She was born in Ohio, Columbus. And Grandpa remembers the old days when there was no television. That makes sense too. So here, this adjective clause modifies the noun days as this adjective clause modifies the noun town. We need to pay attention to the punctuation. For example, here we have the second sentence, which is Charles Dickens, whom I admire, wrote Oliver Twist. We put the adjective clause in between two commas. Why is that? Why we have commas here while we don't have any commas with other adjective clauses? In order to understand this, we need to ask ourselves, is the clause essential or not? We mean the adjective clause. Is it essential or not? And identifying or not? Restrictive or not? If it is identifying, essential, restrictive, adjective clause, we don't use comma. Why is that? Because it takes the noun that refers to from something general to something specific. So we need it in the sentence. It's not an extra information. It is something important in order to understand the meaning of the sentence. For example, here, students, which is something general. We are talking about students in general. We don't talk about something specific like one name or proper noun. So here, students who are intelligent get good grades. So if we take this out of the sentence, I mean the adjective clause, students get good grades doesn't give a meaningful sentence because we are talking about students get good grades. Who are these students? We have no idea. While when we insert this or keep this without comma as part of the sentence, we will have who are intelligent. So we specify what kind of students are going to get good grades. Only students that are intelligent get good grades. So we separate them, we specify them. Here the same, the people, which is something also general. Whose names are on the list will go to camp. So these people will go to camp. We don't know who are they, but if we say whose names are on the list, we specify them. We take them from something general to something specific. We are talking about people on the list only are going to camp. The second thing is non-essential or non-restrictive or non-identifying adjective clauses. The noun is already specific. We are talking about something specific that we are familiar with, we know. So we use the adjective clause as an extra information. For example, summer. We have only one summer in the year. So we have 4 seasons. One of them is summer, winter, fall, spring, and summer. Which is my favorite season will be here in another week. If we take this out of the sentence, summer will be here in another week, it makes sense. It gives complete idea, complete meaning. While if we keep it as an extra information, we can take it away and keep the sentence without it, and we still have a meaningful sentence. The same here, pizza, which most people love, is not very healthy. So the same thing. We know pizza, and if we take the adjective clause away from this sentence, pizza is not very healthy. We still understand the meaning of the sentence. So it's an extra information we can get rid of, and we have meaningful sentence. To conclude, an adjective clause is the combination of 2 sentences to create one sentence or one meaningful sentence. Here are the points that we have to keep in mind in order to understand adjective clause. Adjective clause is dependent clause that cannot stand by itself or alone. It needs an independent clause in order to give complete thought or idea. It describes or modifies a noun. Relative pronouns are who, whom, whose, which, and that. Relative adverbs when, where, and why. Here I prepared an activity for the students, and it says identify adjective clauses. Underline the adjective clause in each of the following sentences. Circle the word it modifies. So here, for example, the book that he wrote has just been published. So here we need to circle the noun, which, as I said, it comes usually immediately before the adjective clause. Then the adjective clause modify this noun, and here we have the adjective clause that starts with relative pronoun, which is that. Then we have subject, verb, and this clause or adjective clause is going to modify the noun. So we underline the adjective clause, then or we circle the noun. Here are the questions, and here is my references. Thank you very much. Have a good day.